Right. So we have done this legal work, and we start the new area. This is what you call basically the protecting the customers, and we discuss why we need to have regulations, right? And then right. Then we discuss why regulate to protect consumers and to maintain soundness of financial institution and the stability of the financial system, and to not to use bank for cleaning their dirty money. So we are discussing protect consumers, right? So there, of course, we have started last week. Why we need to protect customers? One thing is the products are very technical in nature, and the contracts are often one-sided favor. Then the information asymmetrics and things like that. Okay, now we started the financial ombudsman, I suppose, right? And so I told you to just to check the who is the present ombudsman in Sri Lanka. That is the question number March 2017, and the questions ask about name the present financial ombudsman, and he's one Mr. Ananda Kumaradas, right? The first one is the Mr. Walter Ladduahetti, and the second ombudsman in Sri Lanka, financial ombudsman, Mr. Mapa, and third one is Mr. Randit Ranaraja, doctor, right? Then present one is Mr. Ananda Kumaradas, okay, right? So then we discuss about ombudsman scheme in Sri Lanka, and I told you about we are going to discuss in detail. And remember, who are the parties covered under ombudsman scheme? These are the parties: commercial banks, specialized banks, registered finance companies, primary dealers, then leasing companies, right? Those are covered under financial ombudsman scheme. Then of course now financial ombudsman now has the power to inquire into settle any complaints and disputes between an individuals, customers, or financial institutions, right? And mind you, now if you say individual customers, can be bank or can be a partnership company, can be a company, can be anybody, as far as that particular institution isn't customers of your bank. Now here is the individual being, not the individual customers. Even for complaints can individuals as well as companies, partnerships who have maintained an account with your bank, you can get the support for financial ombudsman. Okay, right. And also another important thing. Now the financial ombudsman can try to sort out some problem with regard to a debt recovery procedure, parat execution. He also, but he can't give the wording, but he can involving in that whether this was happened accordingly, right? And another important thing in financial ombudsman, this scheme, now usually all participating member institution, which I explained to you, like all license bank, finance, all licensed finance companies and primary dealers, will be bound the judgment given by the financial ombudsman. But some other countries, it is not the case. But in Sri Lanka, the financial ombudsman verdict means his view or reward may be and decisions and awards need to be adhered by the participating organization. That's important. But other countries, it's not like. But suppose the customer not happy, with the financial ombudsman decision, right, he can go to the courts. Right now, customer is not happy, so they can go to the courts. But usually, it is participant member institutions will be bound by his decision. So those are some of the important things. And if you really look at it, the ombudsman basically, under what circumstances, for what areas, individual can make a complaint against the financial institution. And now I want to tell you something. Now, before you go to ombudsman, that those are some of the fundamental things. Before you go to the ombudsman, mind you, first you need to try to sort out your problems with the respective financial organization. You can't straight away go to the financial ombudsman, right? If you have any problem, first of all, what you need to do, you need to get the concern, or you need to get a views for your own problem bank. If your problem bank you want to give you a solution, or you are not satisfied with the solution given by the bank, then you can go to for basically the ombudsman, right? That's another important thing you need to know, right? Okay, right now the issue here, now the bank first need to attend it. The customer first need to complain his issue to the ombudsman, to the bank, and then you not get a solution only, you can go to ombudsman. Now for that, it's very small fee. According to the present amount, it is 250 rupees you have to pay for make a complaint to the ombudsman. Now what they are doing, what ombudsman is doing? Now ombudsman is basically call both parties, right? Call both parties and try to sort it out, that matter, the issue. And the ombudsman can, because they listen to complaint customer and the bank, and basically then financial ombudsman try to sort it out, this matter, in a very polite manner and without damaging to both parties, justice to both parties. Right now, as I told you, ombudsman can give, remember, only up to maximum of 3 million. He can't go more than that because he has a limitation. Now, a lot of people are not aware. He can give rewards or whatever up to compensation or whatever, maximum up to 3 million, but usually it's more or less than that. Right? For that, usually bank need to appoint a separate person to deal with financial ombudsman. Now, in a bank, we call complaint handling officer, or somebody we call him as a somebody has to nominate as a problem, to handle all these issues, right? There's a separate person. He usually go to the ombudsman, right? So there is a bank appointed one person who represented the bank when there is a financial ombudsman call for any inquiry. Right now, these are some of the ombudsman thing. And what are the things the ombudsman can complain? Now, these are the things ombudsman can complain, right? Customer. So, non-payment or inordinate delay in payment of collections of checks, draft, bill, or etc. Then non-issue of drafts to customers and others. Then non-adherence to prescribed working hours, right? Then failure to honor a guarantee letter of credit commitments by the bank. Claims in respect of unauthorized or fraudulent withdrawal of deposits account from this account, right? And fraudulent encashment or a check bank draft by another party. Okay, so a complaint by customer pertaining to the operations of any customer accounts maintained with the financial institution. Somebody has maintained complaints from export customers on the mishandling of export bills, right? Complaint from non-residents having account in Sri Lanka in relation to their remittances issues. So all these things, now there are, I think, 6 and there are 12, 13 complaints can be made against particular bank by a customer, where the financial ombudsman can get involved, right? So sometimes the examiner may ask from you, what are the type of complaint ombudsman can sort it out. So therefore, so you must at least few, no, or not all, at least 5 complaints, type of complaints you may aware if the examiner asks from you to explain, right? So these are some of the things you need to know about ombudsman, right? Okay, so these are some of the things you need to know about the ombudsman. And as I told you, if customers not happy with the your solution given by the ombudsman, so you can go to the courts. Now, what is the advantages of having ombudsman? Right? Actually, it is build up the trust and confidence of the customer. Now, why is that? Now, you know, if you go for similar things for the courts, right? So you need to pay huge amount for lawyers' fees, you know. I mean, when you go to the courts, court will give another day to summon all these problems, you know. Now, without paying enough money, I mean, without having any cost, only 250 rupees, you can get your financial problems sorted out from financial ombudsman, right? So, one objective is, again, it's build up the trust and confidence about the customer. If you have any problem, without having any much problem, so customer can go to the ombudsman and make a complaint. As I told you, before you go to the ombudsman, you need to put your complaint to the bank, right? So then if you are not happy with the solution, okay, you can go to the ombudsman. Now, when you file a case, or the complaints with the ombudsman, you need to support the bank's answers. Or if banks have no given you answer, that also you can do it. But if your banks has given you some sort of feedback, you need to prove you have taken up this matter with the bank decision. You are not happy. That is why the customer comes to the ombudsman for some solution, right? These are some of the things you need to know about financial ombudsman. Okay, right. Now let me look at some of the past questions, right? And in fact, this is basically, as I explained to you, 2 things here. So it is handled by a financial ombudsman Sri Lanka Guarantee Limited. So there's a separate institution named Financial Ombudsman Sri Lanka Guarantee Limited. We look after this ombudsman case, right? And also I told you, which we are going to discuss later on, it is a mandatory to display ombudsman office and the contact number at all branch premises. That is according to the customer charter, right? It is mandatory. All the branches need to mention the financial ombudsman office, where it is office. That is, as I told you, it's located in number 143A, Vajira Road, Colombo 5, just close to Vishaka College, right? And also the telephone number. Now how banks are showing that. So every bank usually is having a electronic display board. So that display board, it will show, right? So if you're really working for a branch, see whether the ombudsman office contact number was available to the customer to see if they have any problem, to sort it out. Now the issue is, even though we have a ombudsman scheme, people are not aware, right? People are not much aware about the ombudsman scheme. So it is a duty of our regulator to display or give some advertisements also to inform customer. If you have any problem with the customers, so you can go to the ombudsman. Okay, right. So let me look at it now. One of the past question paper, what they ask about. Now, if you really look at it, the last exam, what we had it in this year, January. So question number 6, they asking, what are the services offered by financial ombudsman, right? What are the services offered by financial ombudsman? So what are the things? So if services offered by ombudsman with regard to complaints of customers can be sorted out by financial ombudsman, right? So if you want, you can just put down some of the complaints which I explained to you. These are the areas the ombudsman will look into customers' complaint, right? Then, if you really look at the next important thing now, okay, now the important thing is here, mind you, the right? Important thing here. Now, what I am going to do? I am going to teach you deposit insurance scheme. Now, so in our exam paper, remember there is a small issue here, right? Important thing here, deposit insurance scheme is covered under, sometimes covered under finance survey, commercial banking, non-banking financial organization, and even clients management. 4 subjects will cover this topic, right? 4 subjects will cover this topic. Now, can anybody tell me, can anyone tell me, have you covered this one in one of these subjects? Right? Siobhan, can anybody just give me a feedback? Have you covered deposit insurance scheme in one of these subjects? Now, definitely survey and commercial banking isn't compulsory now. So have you covered up to now? Can anybody give me a answer? Dilukshi, have you covered? Come on.
No, sir.
Not yet.
No, sir. Not yet.
No, not yet. No. Right. Okay. Now then it is easy for me. Now what I'm going to do now, right? I will explain to you. You don't want to study at all. I mean, it will cover very comprehensively. I am going to discuss with you deposit insurance scheme, right? So please carefully listen to me and write wherever you deem necessary. I am going to discuss with you about this deposit insurance scheme, right? And mind you, it is basically, right? It is basically can answer any question. I will guarantee you, right? Once I complete the deposit insurance scheme, you can ask any, you can write, answer any questions, but I'm going to give you a little more also. Right. Now first try to listen to me. Right? Okay. Now deposit insurance scheme, in fact, if I talk in a little bit of, it was first developed in a country called Czechoslovakia. Right? That's what I heard. And then the important thing is it came to Sri Lanka initially as a voluntary scheme. Now, what do you mean by the voluntary scheme? Mean whether if you organization like, you can join the scheme. That was initiated in 1988 till 2010, right? 1988 and till 2010, this deposit insurance scheme is there, but it's not compulsory. It is a voluntary scheme. If any financial institution want to join, they can join. But from 2010, right? But from 2010, and the Central Bank of Sri Lanka make it's a compulsory insurance deposit insurance scheme. So all the parties who are members of the deposit insurance scheme are basically supposed to join this deposit insurance scheme, right? And also you need to know this deposit insurance scheme is basically what you call safety net instrument. What is that? Safety net instrument, specially adapted to protect small depositors and trust on financial system. So that is why this deposit insurance scheme first developed. Now, even though it's 2010, it was started, but it is really coming to effect from 2012 onwards, right? But 2010 was established, but this really came to effect from 2012. And in fact, from 2013, this scheme was changed to what presently we call non-deposit insurance scheme. That is what we call deposit insurance and liquidity support scheme. Now the examiner asks from you, why this deposit insurance scheme in 2013 changed to Sri Lanka Deposit Insurance and Liquidity Support Scheme? Reason is because now this scheme, now we are going to discuss how the scheme fund accumulating, right? Now for that, before I answer to that, okay, this is the model questions I'll give you. Sri Lanka Deposit Insurance Scheme was renamed in 2013. What is the new scheme called? How you call? Deposit Insurance and Liquidity Support Scheme, right? That's a new name. Now you can't say deposit insurance scheme. Now sometimes even the exams, they talk about deposit insurance scheme, but its real name is Sri Lanka Deposit Insurance Scheme and Liquidity Support Scheme. I'll tell you why it's called Liquidity Deposit Insurance and Liquidity Support Scheme later on, little while, right? Okay, next one. Now this was initiated in 2010 by using 1.1 billion fund put by central bank, because deposit insurance and liquidity scheme is fund. For fund, so somebody has to put initial money. This fund initially start with 1.1 billion, right? That 1.1 billion came from, now you see, I told you before 2010 till 1988, there is a voluntary scheme now. Some people also voluntarily contributed. That some money accumulated, that fund, voluntary fund, that money also putting to this fund by the central bank. And there's another fund, which I tried to explain to you later on. That fund is called Abundant Property Fund. I will explain to you what is abundant property later on. So whatever the funds available from that and the voluntary deposit scheme fund joined and put into this fund and start the depository fund, right? Now what is the present compensated? Of any customer, per institution. Remember, per customer, per institution. What? Per customer, per institution can compensated up to a maximum of rupees 1.1 billion. 1.1 million, right? From last January or March, that was increased from 600,000 to 1.1 million, right? In the case of the license or registrations of a member institution, two things: under or temporarily suspended or cancelled by the monetary board. There are two things: suspended and the cancelled. Suspended means temporarily not allowed to operate the business. Cancel means you cannot start the business. So you can get the compensation either suspended or cancelled bank if you put that money in those institutions. What is the maximum you can get per customer? 1.1 million per customer per institution. You need to remember all these things. Right. Now, I want to tell you something here. Right? It is so far no question asked, but examiner can ask from you like this. What is the Sri Lanka's deposit insurance scheme? Right? There are two types of funding structure we call. Right? One method is called ex ante. EXANTE. Ex ante. EXANTE. Other method is called ex post. EXPOST. Now, this is that no question asked up to now from that. I will explain to you if the questions come. What is this ex ante and what is ex post? Now, some institutions, some countries, to my knowledge, there are around 140 countries now established deposit insurance scheme in the world, right? In the world. Okay, first maybe Czechoslovakia, then started with America, and then India, and then Sri Lanka. So India is a very popular for this type of schemes, right? Because they have initiated very early stage, but America is the scale. This scheme was in a large scale introduced, right? Now, at the moment, is around 140 countries are operating. Now, what is ex ante? EXANT. If the examiner asks you, now it is a Sri Lankan method. Like example, Sri Lankan method. How? So, regular collections of premium. Ex ante means regular collections of premium. Right? Now, they collect the premium before something happened. Right? The fund is creating. That system is called ex ante. The member country, member institution, right? The premium for insurance collected by the regulator, the scheme. The ex ante ex post means there are some other countries, they have not collected premium regularly. What they do, if something happened in the organization, suppose some banks collapse, and they call from the respective member institution the money and pay the compensation. Right? Now, I will tell you a simple way. Nan hitanna me wage onna දැන් ඔගොල්ලෝගේ බැංකුවේ කවුරු හරි නැති වෙනවා. අපි තුමු එම්ප්ලොයි කෙනෙක් නැති වෙනවා. එතකොට මොකද කරන්නේ? ඕගොල්ලෝ ඉන්න අයගේ එම්ප්ලොයිස් ලගේ සල්ලි එකතු කරලා ඒ නැති වුණ කෙනාගේ ගෙදරට දෙනවා. ඒක මොකද එක්ස්පෝස්ඩ්. එක්ස් ඇන්ටි කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? හැමදාම ඕගොල්ලෝගේ පඩියේ right? ගානක් කපලා හැමෝගෙම එවන්න ඕනේ බැංකුවේ. ඒ බැංකුවේ ෆන්ඩ් එකක් තියෙනවා. කෙනෙක් මැරුණම ඒ ෆන්ඩ් එකෙන් තමයි සල්ලි දෙන්නේ. දැන් තේරුණා නේද? There are some banks are like that. Now, insurance schemes also like that. Some countries, so we have an ex post, some are ex ante. So what is the method Sri Lanka is using? Remember, ex ante, because we are continuously called premium from member institution, and then they build up the fund. Clear now? You understand. Some countries having both. So some countries like Malaysia and Japan, they have a both. What do you mean by a both? Mean they collect premium as well as if some money is missing, money is lacking, whatever, they call individual people to individual member institution to pump the money. So Malaysia and Japan countries, they have the both system, right? So new things, I know nobody's going to tell you these things, but remember this: if the examiner asks you what are the type of, what are the funding structure of the insurance scheme prevailing in Sri Lanka, is ex ante. There are two methods: ex ante, ex post. Some countries having both scheme, right? So another important thing I want to tell you a little bit of, right? X systems. What is the systems of funding? This is earlier we call funding structure. This is system, funding system. But don't look at it in more detail. System, funding system. Sri Lanka will have pay box system. Pay box, PAYBOX, pay box system. So other systems we call broad mandate. We call broad mandate. Now remember, broad mandate. Now pay box mean the schemes pay only the compensation to customers. Pay only compensation to customers. So in the broad mandate, if our scheme is broad mandate, that means you pay the compensation to the particular institution customers, and then some of the money they may give it to the so-called suspended to organization to commence their businesses, get rid of from the issues. So that is what you call the broad mandate for resolutions action for particular institution. But Sri Lanka is using pay box method, right? So that's the system. So new things you learn: what is the prevailing method funding structure, ex ante and ex post. Sri Lanka using ex ante. So what is the funding system? Pay box and broad mandate. Of course, the broad mandate you can further divide it into different categories, but this is more than enough. So new things you have learned. Up to now, no question asked, but examiner can ask from you. Right? Okay. Right. Next one. Right? Clear? Any questions? If you have not understood, please tell me, right? Okay, next one. Now, I told you Sri Lanka is having a ex ante system, right? Now you know what is ex ante system. Now, since ex ante system, the participant organization, I forgot to tell you, who are the participants? All licensed bank and all finance companies, right? If I ask from you whether this scheme is covered by leasing companies or not, Dilukshi, whether this scheme covered by Leasing finance companies? Yes or no? Come on. Anybody? Malmi? No. Why Carling is not?
Sir, because they are not allowed to take deposits from general public.
Very good. That's a simple thing. So they are not allowed to take. So therefore, all licensed banks and all finance companies except for leasing companies are not covered under these schemes. Okay. Now, up to now you understood. Now you know what is ex ante and export, right? New things nobody has. Definitely, examiner can ask from you question on that, right? Now, since we are discussing now ex-ante method, Sri Lanka having the ex-ante method, now banks and the license and finance companies need to pay premium to the fund to get that insurance covered. Right. What is the amount you are going to pay? In Sri Lanka, all these registered or licensed finance companies and financial um, leasing financial finance companies need to pay the range of 0.10 to 0.15% per annum as a premium. On what? On what? On eligible deposits. So now you need to look. Now say for an example, listen to me carefully, yeah? It will cover all other subjects. Suppose your total deposit base, for example, your total deposit base is say around 100 million, for example, 100 million, right? Then somebody can say your eligible deposit is 50 million, example. You are having 100 million total deposits. But your eligible deposit, somebody say only 50 million. Then how much you need to pay? 0.10 to 0.15, not from 100 million, only for 50 million. Right? So that is what you call eligible deposits. So if you say eligible deposit, there are some deposits is not eligible. So that 50 million is not eligible. So we are going to discuss what are those not eligible deposits when you are calculating your premium. Right. What is the premium you need to pay now? From 0.1 to 0.15 per annum. Remember, and will be required to be paid by member institution on a monthly or quarterly basis. Monthly or quarterly basis. Per annum. Then හිතන්න 50 million now. අපි හිතමු බැංකුවක තියෙනවා 50 million. Right. Now you may have a problem. No. Now they say the range between 0.1 to 0.15. Which figure you are going to take? Can you pay 0.1? Because there is a range. Okay, before that, let me try to answer to this question. This is your March question. Tell me the answer for this. Tell me the answer for this. Right? If you can give the answer for this, please. This is your March 2015 question. Under the Sri Lanka Deposit Insurance Scheme, the premium required to be paid by member institutions on eligible deposits on monthly quarterly basis will range between, what is the correct answer? What is the correct answer? Come on. Somebody need to give me answer. Easy. How much? Come on. You can hear me, no? Today you are very silent, no? Huh? Can anybody give me an answer? Right? You are very silent today.
B.
Huh?
B.
B. Very good.
B,
Very
sir.
good. B. Right. I think අනේ පොඩ්ඩක් දාන්නකො නැත්නම් මම ටිකක් නිකන් නිදිමත වගේ ඉන්න ඕගොල්ලෝ අහන් ඉන්නේ නැතුණා. Right? Because so you are definitely getting a questions from my question paper, my exam or survey or commercial paper or the other optional subject like non-banking financial institution. Okay, so answer is B, correct. Right, now my question is this. Now you have a range. Now you are working for a bank. Now your bank, say your bank is having 50 million, as I told you, as an eligible deposit. Accordingly, how much you need to pay? Whether 01 and 015. There is a range, no? You can pay 01, also you can pay 1.5, and also you can pay in between. No, there is a specific methodology explained by the central bank. Now, what is the range? Okay, you can put down this figure. From C, suppose your bank, capital adequacy ratio, CAR, your bank's capital adequacy ratio is more than 14%. More than 14%. You need to pay 0.1% per annum interest rate for annum premium. 0.10. Suppose your bank capital adequacy ratio is less than 14%. Your CR is less than 14%. What is the premium you need to pay? You need to pay 0.125%. That's the second option. 0.125. Not 10. 10 only can pay the bank is more than 14% capital adequacy ratio. Now you have to write here CAR 14% more. Your bank need to pay as a premium 0.10. Banks less than capital adequacy 0 of 14%, you need to pay 0.125%. All banks. Now, once it's come to the financial institution, all the financial institution need to pay 0.15% for annum. Okay, that's the amount. Clear now? Right? Right. Now, another difference here. What is that? Now, for banks, whether it is above 14% or below 14% capital adequacy ratio, that your premium need to pay on quarterly basis. Need to pay quarterly basis. Now, say for an example, your bank, say 100 million deposits. Eligible is 50, say for an example. How much you need to pay quarterly? So what you need to do there, right? 50 multiple by 0.10%, right? Into how much? 3 divided by 12. Why? Quarter. This is for annum. So when you calculate, that is the amount you need to pay to the central bank for deposit fund, for as an insurance fund, right? Okay. So then how much that you need to pay quarterly? Banks. But financial institution, very unfair. So they need to pay high percentage of interest premium. All financial institutions need to pay 1.5%. Again, how much? Monthly basis. Monthly basis. So two differences. Right. Suppose either if you are not paid, your premium within the period after, now say, now bank first quarter, that means January, February, March. Before 15th of April, you need to pay that premium to the central bank. All are like that. Then financial institute, finance companies also need to pay before 15 days. Now say January, February 15th, before February 15th, financial institution need to pay. Financial institution to pay monthly and also maximum of 2 weeks they have given. If you have not paid that amount, so there is a penalty charged by the bank. What is the penalty? The penalty is the prevailing treasury bill rate plus 200 basis point, that is prevailing treasury bill during that time plus 2%. So you have to pay a penalty for that of non-compliance of payment of your deposits. Right. Now, I think you have learned something. Right? There are some countries.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Can you repeat the sentence you said earlier? Non-compliance of payment of the premium. How much we should pay, sir?
Premium, it is prevailing treasury bill rate, TB rate, plus 2%. Now, we say prevailing treasury bill rate 5%, plus 2%, 7%. From that premium amount, you need to pay as a penalty. Got it? All parties, huh? Clear? How is that? Clear?
Okay, sir.
Right. Okay. Now you see. Okay. Now I will now. Everybody's clear now. Now remember, some countries have a flat rate. They won't be treated like that. All the financial institutions, they need to pay same rate. Right? In Sri Lanka, we have a what say? We have a differential rate. Right? Why finance companies are different, some banks are different, right? So some countries, so therefore our system is we call differential rate system. So some countries maybe have a fixed rates. Whatever the organization, they need to pay the same amount. Okay. Now I want to just think something. Are you clear now? So these are the workings, right? So you need to remember all these things, right? All this money you need to pay from what? From eligible deposits. Now you have noted these funds, money, that deposit insurance fund, how, now they started with how much? 1.1 billion. Now, according to my information, what information I have, now presently is having around 60 billion. From 1 billion, as at today, the fund value is around 60 billion, for example. Yeah, something close to 60 billion. Started with how much? 1.1 billion. And now is around 60 billion. How this fund created? How the funds, what are the money credited to this fund? Can you tell me one? How this fund built up? Come on, easy.
Premium payments.
Premium payments. One. Second, that's only. That's only. Now, I told you a little while ago, another method you need to be premium sometimes.
Abandoned properties.
No, that is finished, right? That is initiated. Because we want to create the fund, we had the abandoned properties. Now, I am telling you now how these funds come to 60 billion.
Interest.
Huh?
Interest.
What interest? Okay, I will come. You are correct. Right. But you forget something which I told a little while ago.
Investments in secondary
Yeah,
markets.
correct. That's also correct. But I told you something little while ago. One is premium. If the premium is not paid due date, what they are charging?
Penalties.
Penalty. So then another income, because sometimes the banks have paid little late. So then they have to pay with the interest, with the penalty. So what is the second credit to the fund? We call the penalty charges. Good. Now some of you have told, now we have around how much of money in the fund? Is around 60 billion. Now you are going to keep this 60 billion with you? No. So this money, as you are correctly pointed out, you need to invest. Right. For treasury bills and treasury bond, you are going to invest. You are not going to invest this money with the, remember, not with the risky area, right? So therefore, you are gilt-edged securities, you invest your money, these funds. From that, somebody telling me, but investment returns. So the returns or the invested money, you are again to your fund. Three methods. Now you know how you build up this fund. Okay. What is the other method you think? What is the other method? Now this money is there. Suppose sometimes the bank needs some banks are facing a liquidity problem. If the bank is facing some liquidity problem, banks can borrow money from this fund. Bank can borrow money from this fund. For that, banks need to pay interest for this. Clear? Now this is how this fund has now come to around 60 million. Premiums, penalty rates, investment income, and interest income. Okay. Now can you give me an answer to the question I'll ask from you? Why this scheme called as a deposit insurance scheme and liquidity support scheme? Now you understood, no? Right? Why that was renamed? Because this fund can be given to the banks when they are facing a liquidity problem. That is why we called in 2013, the scheme was renamed as Deposits and Liquidity Support Scheme. Clear now? Okay? Another. Right. Now, with this small thinking and note, okay, this is your SFS question, not my question. Now, can you answer to A, B, C, D, E? Now, I want the correct answer as at today's. Okay, work it out. and tell me answer for this. So you are given 5 marks, 1 mark for each. This is your September paper question. Right. Tell me what is the answer for. Okay, let me start with E. What is the E? What's the answer for E? Can anybody tell me what's the answer for E?
Current treasury bill rate plus 2% of the
Oh,
premium.
no. Come on. This is your insurance scheme. Come on.
1.1 million.
1.11 million. Good. Earlier, what's the examiner's 2019? If you look at the examiner's
600.
answer, 600,000. Now, if you put 600,000 is wrong. Why? Now, the maximum compensation is how much? 1.1 million. 1 marks. Okay. Now tell me, licensed bank reporting frequency. That means when you're going to pay your premium. A, what's the answer? So if you look at your earlier page also, you can think. Come on, simple. This is what I explained to you earlier. What is your reporting frequency? That means when you're going to pay your premium, how often? Licensed banks? Quarterly. Good. Then 1 mark. See? So once it's go to the registered finance company B, what's the answer? Licensed bank is quarterly. Then finance companies, when they want to pay their premium, they're supposed to pay the premium. Come on. Huh? Quarterly? No, I told you all the finance companies need to pay their premium every month. So licensed bank, now look at value. It is there, no? Premium to be limited eligible deposits, right? 0.1 to 0.15 per annum, and will be required by the paid institution monthly and quarterly basis. Now, quarterly for banks, monthly for finance companies. I told you, right? Monthly. So now I think you know what is premium per annum. How much? Answer for D, Willie. How much you have to pay? What percentage you need to pay per annum? Come on.
0.15.
0.15. What is the answer for C? Come on.
0.125.
No. C is the other side. Less than anyway. More than 14% capital adequacy ratio. Then how
0.1.
much? 0.1. Suppose less than 14%. How much you need to pay? What is the C answer? Right? What is the C answer? 0.125. Now you can make use of as your calculation purpose. Right? Now this is the chart. So this is what I explained to you. It is given. Right? Now what is reporting frequency for licensed bank? Quarterly. Right? What is the registered to finance companies reporting frequency? You need to pay monthly. I told you banks 0.1 and for more than 14% car 0.1%, 0.10, and if the capital adequacy ratio is less than 14, this is more than 14%, right? Less than 14%, how much you need to pay as a premium per annum? 0.125, right? Okay, 5 marks. Clear now? Do you have any problem? Right? Please tell me. Clear to that. So if you learn this one very clearly, you can answer any question. Right? This is you need to pay. But still, I have not sorted out some of your problem. Right? Okay, let me hurry that. Clear that. Please, I need a feedback from you, Buddha. Hurry the clear, understood?
So eligible deposits can one also?
I have not given you answer, no. Right? I will go to talk. Hurry the. Okkamata clear the. Pratibha, okay. Malmi, okay.
Okay, sir.
Right, okay. Right, then why? Buddha, when the Kohenga Tigegan loaded there, right? So I will explain to you what subject එක යවද මම මේ අහලා තියෙන SFS එකේ මගේ නෙවෙයි. So but you can answer any question. Right, now we move into the next one. Right, now what is the objective? What is the objective of the deposit insurance scheme? Right? Okay, now what is the objective of this stream, as I told you, and to develop the trust of the financial institution as well as customer confidence and protect small people depositors. Small depositors, that's the main objective, right? Okay, that's okay. Now come back to what are the eligible deposits for claims. So there are some deposits I told you are excluded when you are calculating your premium. Now let's look at it. What are those deposits? Now mind you, this also not tested you up to now. This also not tested you up to now. Right? This also not tested you. Examiner can ask from you, what are the eligible deposits? Right? The eligible deposit which are excluded from calculating the premium. Right? What are these things? First one, just look at it. Deposits of member banks and finance company. What do you mean by that? Now suppose Sampath Bank. Example. Sampath, HNB has put some money in the Sampath Bank. Or maybe Sampath, they have their Siyapatha Finance. They also deposit some money with the Sampath Bank. Or any other finance company or any other bank put the money with the Sampath Bank. Those deposits are not going to take into account. Clear? That's the first one. Right? Deposits coming from these institutions are not going to take into account. Second, all the government institutions, customs, you are not going to input into the calculations of insurance premium. Third, shareholders, your bank directors, key management parties. That means key management people, your DGMs, AGMs, senior manager, chief managers, that category. And other related parties who are closely associated with that, their deposits also not going to take into account. Third one, now you may give loans against deposits, right? So cashback loans, so sometimes you are given. So when you are calculating for eligible deposits, you are going to take away all these deposits. Because it's not a deposit, no, he has already taken as a loan. So loan is not covered under this scheme. So therefore you are not eligible. So the deposits held as collateral, you cannot take. Here, right. 3, 4, 5. Remember, 5. Deposit falling within the meaning of abundant property in terms of Banking Act. those are not going to take into account. All the dormant accounts you specify in your accounts are not going to take into account. So there are 6 types of accounts. When you are the balances of these amounts, you are not going to take into account when you are calculating your deposits. Apart from this, all other deposits are considered to be as a eligible deposits. Now, I think I have given to you answer. What do you mean by eligible deposits? Now, questions comes. What is the difference between, if you want, just write down, right? What is the difference between abundant property and a dormant account? You can have a 2-color, abundant property and a dormant account. Okay, first, what is a dormant account? Can anybody tell me what is a dormant account? Examiner can ask you what is dormant account, right? I think they asked one time. What is a dormant account? Can anybody tell me what is how your bank define dormant account?
Transactions not been done for 6 months.
Right. Okay. Okay. Any other any other definition for dormant account? Any other banks? Yes. Okay. Now you can't say 6 months. I tell you why, right? Okay. If you want to write down under dormant account, right? If a savings or the time deposits if a savings or a time deposits remains idle for more than any account, basically savings or FDs remain idle ideally for than a specific period. Now, than a specific period. Why I have not mentioned 6? It is depend on the bank. Now, some banks considers the dormant account as 6 months. Some banks can define what do you mean by a dormant for their its bank is a maybe 1 year. Right? So it is therefore vary from bank to bank. That is why when you are defining dormant account, you can say if a account remains, or any savings or FD remains idle for more than a specific period as specified by your own bank, as per the policy of the responsible bank, respective bank is considered to be a dormant account. Right? It's not be a 6 month. It's that depend on the bank's individual policy. Right? It may be 6 months. That is what you call dormant account. So then what do you mean by it? Okay, go ahead.
Can a time deposit become dormant?
Go ahead. I can. What?
Can a time
Any
deposit
account, any account you can say any account. Right? Any
that
account you can say.
including fixed deposits also, sir?
Yeah, sure. But only thing is why that there is an issue on that, right? Right now, I tell you, if you want to really find it out, then I will tell you the issue. Right now, we get the issue comes. I will tell you why. Right now, there's 2 things. We get the concern for auto renewal from the customer, right? Okay, auto renewal. හරිද? ඉතින් අපි ඒක හරි දාගන්නවා. එතකොට auto renewal we thinking is an active, but according to the central bank, they said, even though it's an FD, remember, and this was done by commercial bank. Now they also stop, I think. Now, remember what I'm going to discuss with you, right? Now, suppose your FD going to mature, your FD is going to mature, right? Your FD going to mature next October 1st, for an example, October 1st. Bank supposed to send you a letter, which I think commercial bank has done it. Now I think they also stop. It's a costly exercise. To imagine to send all the depositors letter to the customer, your deposits going to mature on October 1st at this rate. If you want, please come and withdraw or just send it a note. So after October 1st, if you have not responded, then the bank has to send another letter to the customer saying that your deposit, FD deposit, have extended for another year at the rate of so much. That's a law. ඉතින් හිතන්න depositsලා කච්චර ඉනකොට තැපල් ගාස්තු කොච්චර යනවද කියලා. So therefore banks, what they are telling is, okay, they get the crew auto renewal. The auto renewal again understood the auto renewal කරන්න කියලා. But according to the central bank, it has to be communicated to the customer. So some banks has taken some initiative for that. They get SMS message. Even for banks apps like commercial banks also, they have the apps now. And they immediately mention all their maturity date, and they usually get SMS. Your FD is renewed at the rate of this. So they address that central bank issue. Clear now? So you are supposed to inform customers. Even though I had a problem, that's what I'm telling you, I'm involving that issue. Suppose a bank is having million of FD customers. If you are going to send letters like this, you're supposed to send still, right? How much cost will you? And the time consumer. Now the time the letter comes, sometimes, so after 6 months. These days, of course, you can understand, no? Right. So in order to prevent that, banks are taken some actions. Right. Okay. Now you know, understood the issue now. But accordingly, you need to send 2 letters before maturity and after maturity. And first one, to remind you, you are going to mature 1 in October 1st. Then you have to send another letter saying you have your one is extended for 1 year. You need to communicate. Right. Okay. Now I think did I answer to your question, Pudan? Now we are
Yes.
using SMSs, right? Okay. So then what is abundant property? What is abundant property? Abundant property, the deposits and any other funds, deposits or any other funds of customers that have been dormant, more than 10 years without any communication, we can be considered as a abundant property, right? Can be considered as a abundant property. Right. Now, a lot of students may not aware, a lot of lecturers also not telling you. Suppose if you have a safety locker or deposit box, how you consider that as an abundant property? Can anybody tell me? Right? I think a lot of students may be not aware. Suppose you have an abundant property in a safety box or safety locker box. How you think? That it is defined like this. right? Contents in safety lockers or deposits or boxes lying dormant more for over 3 years, from the date of expiry of the rental period, considered as a dormant. Remember, not 10 years, right? Right? Suppose if you have a safety box, usually it won't happen, right? But that's the case. More than 3 years, just lying after finishing your rental this thing. In order to prevent that, what banks are doing? Bank link that his payment to the FD. They was asked to keep some FD, and from the FD interest, it will cover your rent. So then automatically, as far as the FD is there, right? So this is automatically renewed, right? Understood now, right? But the law is it if you have date of expiry of the rental period, 3 years after expiry of the rental period, you consider it as an eligible deposit. In order to prevent that, what bank is doing? The safety locker facility is linked to FD, and FD's interest is credited to that account. So therefore, automatically it's activating, right? So some of tricks used by. Okay, now you have learned a lot of things in the banks, right? The people who are not in the banks can have some idea. Okay, now you know what is abandoned property and you know what is dormant accounts and what is the difference. Okay, now this is your exam paper. In 2016, the examiner asked from you what is meant by abandoned property of bank. Right? So now you know the answer. And then what is a dormant account? Clear now? I think you learned that also. Right? 2 questions. Then, what is the purpose of a deposit insurance scheme? Right? 1, to protect customers, maintain the soundness of financial system, providing funding support to certain non-banking financial institution. I told you, if I have a problem, they can give a loan to them. Tax incentive to promote consolidations, right? Encourage savings. Why encourage savings? Because customers are very much, comfortable. So even though the bank failed, they're going to get the money from. And also put down another one, discourage illegal financial institution. Because they are not covered under the scheme, so people are not go to those paper. Discourage illegal financial institutions. Right? And okay. Right. Now, since that, again, I want to tell you something about the abandoned property. You can't keep the money. You can't keep the money. So 90% of the abandoned property, that means more than 10 years, you need to transfer to the central bank. And with interest, and you need to keep 10% with you. From your abandoned property, so the money you need to, with the interest of that amount, say there is something called 10, for example, we'll say 10 million lie in the one account, more than, then with the interest from the date of open the account, and it has to be transferred to separate account in the central bank, and you can keep only 10%. If the customer comes, even though after 10 years, you pay the money and you can recall from the central bank, right? You can get the money from the central bank, but you have to pay to the customer and you can claim it from central bank because you have already transferred. Understood? Right. So that doesn't mean abandoned property. When the customer comes, after even 12 years, banks are supposed to pay. So banks need to pay and the bank need to be claim from the central bank because they have already transferred in that amount to the central bank, right? Okay, that is why they keep 10%. If any need arises, they can make use of that 10% to pay the customer. Total
Excuse me, sir.
abandoned property. Yeah, okay.
Sir,
Go ahead.
what happened to the deposits placed by insurance companies in the banks and institutions? Do they fall to eligible category?
So that is because so no problem as far as we cannot belong to a particular category. Yes, can. Now say you can't take Sri Lanka insurance because it's a government institution, no, right? The private, yes, can. Anybody apart from that, not comes under that 5 category, 6 category, can be considered. Not financial institution, a member institution, right? Okay, so what you want to ask from me whether this, okay, good question also, 1 minute. So that means you want to say deposits of member banks and finance companies. So they have mentioned specifically finance companies. They have not mentioned anywhere in the, right, insurance companies. Understood now? Clear? Right? That's what the law said. Anyhow, I will check on that. To my knowledge, finance companies, yes, as far as that is not in your member institution. Right? Okay. So anyhow, I will let you know. Okay. But according to, no. But not finance companies, they are not specifically mentioned. Insurance companies, so therefore we need to consider, but anyhow I'll recheck and come back to you. Okay, clear? Okay, right. Okay, right. This is the question in 2015. What is the maximum amount of compensation payment under the Sri Lanka Deposit Insurance Scheme? How much? 2015. They may ask, they say 300,000, right? 2018, that question asks, it will go up to 600,000. If the question asks now, 1.1 million, right? Okay, so what is the dual role of deposit insurance in Sri Lanka? So what are the dual role? Protections of small depositors and promoting confidence and trust. What are the dual role of deposit insurance? One is protection of small depositors, promoting trust and confidence of customers. Okay, so those are the dual role of.
So what about the liquidity? Liquidity issues?
No, because that is some extra thing. No, that is extra thing. Now dual role, according to if you say dual role, that's a role. Now dual mean dekai right? If you say, then you want to say what is the role of deposit insurance and liquidity support scheme. Then you can say provide the liquidity issues, right? But you said also correct. If you then sometimes some people are not, even the question setters are not updated certain things, right? So but the dual role is basically is an objective. Right now, the objective of the deposit insurance scheme, now you need to understand. Now, main objective is to safeguard the customers, right? So, from the money we generating, we are supporting other financial institution is a secondary thing, secondary objective. Got my point? The main purpose of establishing a deposit insurance scheme to safeguard the financial customers, right? Secondary objective may now can say you make use of this fund to support the financial institution. That may be the secondary objective, but the final objective should be the protect the customers. Okay, right. Now remember the question is what may be the secondary objective. Then you can say to support any difficulty during that time. Right, good questions. That may be the secondary objective. Right. Who responsible for the operational and management of this scheme? So good question now. Who is responsible managing this fund? Now up to 2018, up to January 1st of 2018, this scheme was monitored by the director, the Bank Supervision of Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Director, Bank Supervision, and the respective, now say non-bank finance companies, non-bank financial director. Now, from 1/1/2018, that was entrusted to a separate department of Central Bank. So you can name that bank as Resolutions and Reinforcement Department of Central Bank of Sri Lanka. From 2018 January 1st, what is the department is handled this fund? Resolutions and Reinforcement Department of Central Bank of Sri Lanka. What is that? Resolution and Reinforcement Department of Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Okay, now, so these are the new things, right? From 2018, this fund was handled by a separate department. That department name is called Resolution and Reinforcement Deposits of Sri Lanka. Right. I'll ask another one. So we talk about the advantages. Do you have any disadvantages of this scheme? Can anybody tell me? Do you have any disadvantages of this scheme? Huh? Do you have any disadvantage? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is the disadvantage? You
Uh,
can say
under this scheme, only the depositors are covered.
are not credit customers, no? Okay, that's also correct. Not considered the credit
1.1
products. Okay. What else?
1.1 million may not cover the all customers' deposits.
Wait, more there. බලන්නකෝ ඔගොල්ලෝ හරි නරකයි පොඩ්ඩක් දුන්නම ඔක්කොම cover නැහැ කියනවා. Okay, correct. That's also you can consider, right? Okay, covered only it is compensated, not the full amount. Okay, not a bad idea. Okay, that's up to you. Yeah, you put 2 million, but you are covered only 1.1 million. Yeah, then what about the balance? Or something is better than nothing to work together. But yes, your answer is correct. So that's a good point. Also, you put me that also into my mind. Right, only covered percentage, not the total amount. Yeah, okay, agreed. Another one.
Regular premium payments.
No, I am referring to from the customer's point of view, right? Now that question also can ask from, okay, good question. Now, so okay, now let's look at it. What is the disadvantage to the customer and what are the advantage to the bank? What are the disadvantage to the customer? That's also we can think. Now, what you said is a disadvantage to the bank. No? You have to pay a regular premium. Now, even I will tell you a good example. Now, the National Savings Bank, I'll tell you a good example. Now, National Savings Bank is fully protected by what? Fully protected by government. No, their deposits and interest. If something happened to the National Savings Bank, the government will pay. Hey, they are not comes under this scheme. So then somebody can ask, why then National Savings Bank also need to pay premium? Now, NSB also covered under this scheme also. What is that? This government is paying no. So those are some issues in the law, and I mean, so why maybe central bank may think National Savings Bank having enough customer base, enough deposit base, the premium need to come there. So that premium is the bread and butter for them. right? Now, somebody can ask, okay, if somebody argue, so National Bank Saving Bank is when they put an advertisement, they said, your entire money is guaranteed by the government. So then, why 1.1 million? Any amount they will cover, no? According to them, they say not 1.5. Something happened to National Bank. It's a regulatory thing. It's not a regulatory thing. It is a statutory thing. It is a law of the country. So then why they are paying premium? So somebody need to give the answer for that. But still, I know National Savings Bank also pay premium. But then sometimes they say we are covered, fully covered. So then why they pay premium? That's the question. Okay, forget about that. Right. So one of the disadvantage, not all deposits are covered. Not all deposits are covered. Another disadvantage. But the most important disadvantage is what is called moral or moral hazard. MORAL, moral hazard. So what do you mean by that? So there's a question asked from September 2014. What does deposit insurance cause the moral hazard problem? Right. Now try to understand. Now you have so you need to get an insurance, no? When you want to drive a vehicle, you need to get an insurance, right? You will remember when I'm telling this thing. Now, when you at least what is the minimum, you need to have a third-party insurance policy to take the vehicle to the road. Third-party policy, right? So suppose your car under third-party insurance. That means, so now you can't get anything, something happened to your car. Only the third party, the person who in an accident, only get the compensation. So therefore, when you are driving, you have to be very careful. Why? If something happened to your car, so insurance cover not pay you any damages. That is third party, no? So you'll be very careful. Since you are fully covered now, comprehensive cover, your driving is now a little bit reckless. Why? Kamak ne putta happuna mogada insurance එකෙන් claim කරගන්න පුළුවන්. නේද? Right? අපි ඔබට සිංහලෙන් කියනවා සදාචාරාත්මක උදුර කියලා. කමක් නැහැ. So therefore, that's a disadvantage. Now the banks, both depositors and banks, tend to take more risks. They tend to take more risk, expecting a financial losses cover from deposit insurance scheme if the banks fails. I repeat it, right? Both depositors, now banks, customers say depositors, they can go to places with a higher risky insurance, but those are registered finance company. They are paying a higher return. Right? They feel it doesn't matter. Even I have only 500, 100,000 or 500,000 rupees. I don't mind go and put the money in this ex-finance company. But ex-finance company is registered under Central Bank. It's a licensed finance company. So for higher return, they are not going to go for NSB or whatever bank because, I am covered. Suppose this insurance scheme is not there, he may have a second thought to go to the ex-finance company. That's the risk customer is taking. Bank also thinking, the customer's money I can invest anywhere. Something happened to my bank, my finance company also no problem. Because why? Customer's money paid by this insurance scheme, no? Why should worry? That the mentalities we call the moral hazard, right? Okay, if you write both depositors and banks tend to take more risk, both tend to take more risk, expecting financial losses cover from deposit insurance scheme if the bank fails, if the banks fail, right? That is we call the deposit a moral hazard problem. That's a disadvantage of deposit insurance scheme. Okay, right? Any problem? Any problem? Now I think I have explained to you in detail what is this deposit insurance scheme. Can you ask any question from me, or you understood what is deposit insurance scheme? Can you ask any questions? The questions coming on this? Still I am not finished, right? Okay, let me explain, finish that part as well. Okay, now I am going to quote with you questions appeared in past other papers as well, right? Okay, now this is non-banking financial business question paper. Which of the following is not a member institution of Sri Lanka Deposit Insurance and Liquidity Support Scheme? Right, can anybody tell me? Which of the following is not a member institution? Come on,
D.
what's the answer?
D.
D, sir.
D. DV Takeover Banks. Good. Very good. Right. Next one. Again, non-banking financial business. January 2021. Read this one. Read the one. Select the correct statement with respect to Sri Lanka Deposit Insurance and Liquidity Support Scheme. Right. The compensation payable in respect of insured deposits of a member institution be computed on a per deposit basis. Right. Next one. Compensation determined as per the regulation will be paid within 6 months from the date of suspicions or cancellations of the license of member institution. Third, member institution shall remit the applicable amount of the premium to the account of the deposit insurance fund within the period of 30 days from the end of respective quarter a month. All the above statement select the correct statement. You need more time? Okay, I'll come back to you on that after doing this. Okay, again the same question. You see how many questions asked. Deposit insurance scheme was introduced in the interest to ensure overall financial. Okay, can you write down this question, Putao? Otherwise, you are having this question, no? And this one, right? I think you are having, no? You can get the version, right? Can you do this question? Now they ask a question also. Mr. Silva is a depositor of KYZ finance company and he holds a deposit of rupees 200,000 in a savings account and 250,000 in a fixed deposit account. Further, he holds a joint fixed deposits with his daughter amounting to rupees 400,000. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka cancelled the license issued by KYZ Finance Company. Calculate the amount of compensation payable to Mr. Silva. Right. I think I leave these two questions to you. Right. Okay. So try to answer this question so that we know very well, thoroughly learn. List 5 deposit liabilities excluded from the Sri Lanka deposit insurance scheme. I told you there's no question asked, but there's a question asked now, right? Then list 5 credits available for the Sri Lanka deposit insurance fund. Okay, right. So try to answer this question along with this, right? So I will explain to you next time. I want everybody to work out the question number 4. Right? Then I will give you answer next week. Right? Okay, clear now? Now, if you can, now you noted that you're supposed to answer any questions about the deposit insurance scheme. I'll guarantee on that with this long explanations about deposit insurance scheme. Okay, so you don't want to give this, no? It is available in the one. Otherwise, you can take a photo, right? And take the photo from your phone, right? And this one and this one, and try to answer. Okay, clear? Haridhan, are you okay? Take a photo on these, right? Okay, Buddha. Take a photo on these two and try to answer. Haridhan, Kalinga, okay? Right?
So can you show the question
Right,
before this one?
I'll show you. Take a photo, right? So I will answer next time, right? That's the first. That's the second question. The first one is this. Right? Take a
Okay,
photo.
sir.
Okay. Right. Next one. So all the things you can answer. I'll give you more than now, which I explained to you. No question asked yes. What is the Sri Lankan system? What is the compensation method? Is ex ante. What is ex ante? What is exposed? Right? Okay. Right. Okay. So I spend more time for this. Right? Again, now you noted that your survey paper. Now you see almost all the papers ask this question. Right? As the lead regulator of financial system, Central Bank of Sri Lanka is responsible to ensure the financial system stability of the country and to protect the system from any financial crisis. In this context, answer the following question. Briefly discuss Sri Lanka Deposit Insurance and Liquidity Support Scheme introduced by Central Bank of Sri Lanka. You noted that now, no? Survey, my subject, all the subject, there may be a lot of overlapping, but any question you can answer. So please be thorough. Definitely you can answer any question, which I give you a little more also, right? Clear? Right. Okay. Now, 3 o'clock, no? Okay, I'll just give you a brief introduction. So another important things, 10 minutes more, right? Another area we are going to discuss, customer charter. Another interesting area we need to study the customer chart. Right? What are the objective of a customer charter? I think everybody in a bank must know what is customer charter. What is the objective? Safeguarding the interest of customers. Now, what is the topic we are discussing? Protection of customers. Now, up to now, what are the things we learned? We have learned. One, we have already learned nominations. We have already learned about the annual effective rates. We have already learned about the Ombudsman. So we have already learned about deposit insurance scheme. All these are protect customers. And this is another one which a regulator concern about protecting customer is customer charter. The main objective of customer charter, safeguarding the interest of customers. Second, building up a healthy relationship between customers and banks. Healthy relationship, right? And, okay, then improving customer confidence in the banking sector, as well as ensure stability in the banking sector. Because we need to build a customer confidence to survive the bank. Without customers, we can't run the bank. Right? Remember the important things, customer charter is talk about the responsibility of two ends. What are the responsibility of a bank towards the customer, as well as what are the responsibility of customers towards the bank. අපි ඉගෙන ගන්න අර බුද්ධ ආගමේ ඉගෙන ගන්නේ දෙමෝපියන්ගෙන් දරුවන්ට ඉතු යුතුකම් සහ දරුවන්ගෙන් දෙමෝපියන්ට ඉතු විය යුතුකම්. ඒ වගේ තමයි customer charter. So there is some responsibility from the banks towards the customer, as well as customer responsibility towards the bank. So customer charter talks both. Remember, right? Okay, now for that, now directions 8 of 2011. Now these things you need to remember. So the central bank give directions to all the licensed bank to adhere to customer charter, right? So all the banks must have a code of conduct. All the banks must have a code of conduct based on the customer charter, which was developed by central bank. Code of conduct. So your business activity, your employees need to perform on this framework. Right. Now important things. I ask you a small question from you. Right? Okay, I'll ask a small question from you. You join, I hope most of you are bank customers. Oh, sorry, you are a bank employees, assume, right? When you take your appointments, when you take up your appointments, you need to sign 2 documents. What are the, you need to sign 2 documents. Can job එක බාර ගන්නකොට ඔයා සම් කිසි දියුරුමක් දෙනවා සහතිකයක් දෙනවා ඒ document එකට අස්සම් කරන්න ඕන. What are these 2 things? දැන් මතකද නැහැ job එක ගන්නකොට අස්සම් කළා. කියවද? As a bank employee. What are the 2? Okay, go ahead. What is that?
Duty of secrecy.
Right, good. Duty of secrecy, which we are going to discuss later on. Oh, duty of secrecy. When we joined the bank, we had only one. ඊට පස්සේ අපි ඒකට පස්සේ අසන් ගත්තා අපි. because අපි bank එකට join එකට duty of secrecy විතරයි තිබුණේ. හැබැයි පස්සේ අපි මේකටත් අස්සනක් ගැහුවා. දැන් අලුතෙන් join වුණ අය definitely after 2012, right? They have already signed this. Remember. So it is a duty of the HR. They'll obtain written confirmations on adherence to the code of conduct from the current employees and all new employees. So mama bankuwe customer chart එක එහෙම නැත්නම් code of conduct එක අනුව ගත කරනවා. Those are important things. So now 2 things you need to sign: adherence to the code of conduct based on CC as well as the secrecy. Then that's not all right? Okay. And also another important directions under same. Now your customer charter you need to publish in your website. Right? And the important things, poor customers are not aware. Suppose a customer comes and asks your branch, I need a copy of your customer charter. Right? I want in Tamil. I want in Urdu. I want in Hindi. I want in Italy. What is your duty? Are you going to give to the customer? You are supposed to give, right? But not Hindi, not Urdu or Italy or whatever. At least, what are the 3 languages in Sri Lanka? Sinhala, English, Tamil. That is why it says, shall publish the customer chart in their website, make copies available for customers on request in their preferred language. මොකද කරන්නේ? මාර කේස් නේ. තාම අපේ කස්ටමර්ස්ලා මේවා දන්නේ නැති හින්දා හොඳයි. නැත්තම් ඇවිල්ලා ඉල්ලුවොත් අපි දෙන්න ඕනේ. මාර පොතක් වගේ එකක් නේ කස්ටමර්ට දෙන්නේ කොහොමද? ඒකේ තියෙන ඔක්කොම products details අරන් මේ. ඉතින් අපි මොකද කරන්නේ? අපි කියනවා අපි ඕක වෙබ් එක අපි දාගෙන තියෙනවා අපේ කම්පියුටරේ. කචල්ම කස්ටමර් කෙනෙක් ආවොත් බේරෙන්නම බැරි නම් තමයි අපි print එකක් අරන් දෙන්නේ. හැබැයි අපේ customers so they are not so bad because sometimes they may not aware of these things. If you have not given, he can complain to the central bank. The central bank can take actions against the bank. Fortunate enough, customers are not aware on these things, right? Okay, now this is the important thing, right? Now, okay, so we will discuss all these things. What is customer charter? What your bank supposed to do to the customer? What customer supposed in return to do to the bank? Right? There are so many things, right? You have to display currency rates, interest rates, the notice board, which can see by the customer. Remember earlier we discussed you have to show financial ombudsman, name at the contact place and the telephone number visible to the customers. Those are requirement. Your compliance department in your bank usually go and check all these things, not auditor. Auditor may look at your internal things, right? But your compliance department in your bank visit your branch and he may look at it, customer charter, things are adhering by your branch. Okay, so next week, we will discuss, since we have little time, I'll just go little slow, right? So very important, right? What actions banks or customer can take against you if you are not following the customer chart, right? Okay, so I send you a separate note, a detailed note about the customer charter, but I will try to take small areas on that in a summarized form to explain the entire customer chart. Okay, so we'll see you on next next Sunday, same time, and be safe also. And I hope today you understood the concept, right? And see you on next Sunday.